Light spoilers for Twisted Metal Season 2, but I'll avoid things like who wins the tournament and that stuff. I'm honestly blown away by how much I enjoyed Season 2 of Twisted Metal. After a first season that I legitimately hated, but everyone else seemed to love for some reason, I was in no way looking forward to the follow-up. You can watch my Season 1 video here if you want. Before I get to Season 2, I have to talk about what I didn't like about Season 1 real quick, because the changes, improvements, and straight-up retcons are a big part of why Season 2 worked for me. Season 1 of Twisted Metal had a severe lack of car action. It lacked the appearance of iconic cars until right at the end, with Roadkill and Twister becoming active in the final episode. And outside of the opening of the season and the end of it, there's like one car combat scene in the middle between two cars. The rest of the show is individual character adventures, mostly through unexciting locations, filled with cringy, unfunny attempts at comedy, like turning my favorite car, Mr. Slam, into a dick joke.
They call me Mr. Slam.
Why?
Because I can crush anything with my massive penis.
Calypso isn't in Season 1 beyond a voice recording and a shot of him from the back at the end. There's no Twisted Metal tournament at all the whole season. Most of the characters are unrecognizable from their game counterparts. And it was just boring. I do not accept the narrative that Season 1 had to be this way to set up the world and eventual tournament for Season 2. I think they were holding back either out of embarrassment for the source material or by studio mandate in case it wasn't successful. So at the end of Season 1, John Doe, the driver of Roadkill, had been chosen by Fake Raven to be her champion for the coming tournament. He was stuck in San Francisco, yearning to reunite with Quiet, who had just encountered Fake Dollface, revealed to be John's sister. Sweet Tooth is still riding with Stu after the big fight in the parking lot. Twister and its driver have disappeared from the show entirely. Fake Preacher is dead. Agent Stone is presumably dead. And that's where we are. Season 1 was a waste of time. Let's clear the board and get to the tournament. Now, I want to say first that one of the greatest improvements this time around is the humor. Season 1 felt like it was desperately trying to be funny, and it just wasn't. But Season 2, I think, is genuinely funny most of the time. Quicker jokes, it's more clever, funny character interactions once they're all together. I laughed a good amount. Some of it falls flat on its face, it's far from perfect, but it is a fairly funny show now. And they're leaning more towards the Twisted Metal 4 brand of wackiness, which suits the show's format a lot better. The episode 1 joke of John falling in love with the Babysitter's Club's books only to freak out over the missing book 89 is silly but endearing. Him delivering pizzas in San Francisco as John Doe got an early laugh out of me. And I got a kick out of Sweet Tooth becoming furious over his victims, thinking he's actually a more famous serial killer called Big Baby. The fishing with guns joke was hilarious. Stu thinking Dave is sucking himself off was really funny. Mayhem's illiteracy, Sweet Tooth exclaiming "who cares" at the announcement of a character's death, it's good stuff. Like I said, not all the jokes land, and there are some pretty big fails, like the way too long sexual innuendo joke about Mayhem's first time, but overall a much better written season in terms of comedy. There's also a good amount of 90s and 2000s nostalgia, given that the setting is a world that entered the apocalypse around then, but this time it's random enough to feel unpredictable and a lot more fun.
No.
Was I a fucking bag?
It's not like
I
that.
thought you liked me!
I guess you were right, Harold. She wasn't all that after all.
Some well-placed songs take the energy up with Veruca Salt, and Bleed American from Jimmy Eat World, hell yeah. And we finally get Dragula, it took you long enough. And we have a lot more integration of the game the show is named after. They actually reference car-specific special attacks, Turbo Speed, which serves not just as a one-off gag, but as a setup for a sequence later, even cheat codes to activate shields and mines. This is fan service, but I am a fan and I am here to be serviced. I don't want a show that's just car combat and game references, but having a much higher amount of it helps balance out the dramatic and comedic elements to create a well-rounded experience. And wouldn't you know it, there's magic. Twisted Metal has always had a supernatural element, what with a tournament runner that grants your wish, devils, ghosts, magic. And one of the things that made Season 1 so empty was the total absence of the supernatural. Season 2 introduces Mr. Grimm, who's absorbing the souls of everyone he kills. but soon it's shown to be all in his head in a pretty funny gag. But midway through the season, in a scene between Calypso and Raven, it's confirmed that there is in fact magic in this world. Characters open the door to their bedrooms just to end up in a mysterious dark room that shouldn't be there. Magic is present in the series, so who's to say if what Mr. Grimm is doing is actually happening or not? Maybe no one can see it but him. Is Calypso playing on his delusion, or actually taking these souls from him? Calypso himself is a magical being, and he can grant your wish, as seen later in the season when the winner of the tournament gets their wish all twisted. The world of Twisted Metal has been expanded to feel much bigger than Season 1's empty roads, empty rooms, empty restaurants, and 100% grounded setting with no magic. One of the early highlights of the season is the pivotal trek to Diesel City, where people come from all around to make offerings in exchange for weapons. We get a fun story where John and Quiet have to pretend to be high rollers in order to get into a secure area and steal what they need for the tournament. Seeing the class separation between the rich and poor greatly adds to the character of this world, and provides a lot of humor showing the sick fetishes these people have as they enact their behind-the-scenes sex parties. I won't say any more, but it's weird and hilarious as Stu gets involved. And most importantly, we've got cars from several installments across the series. And car combat. In a Twisted Metal show, can you believe it? People actually drive cars around shooting at each other. You probably didn't expect this if you watched the first season, but it's happening. Not always in the most entertaining way, but they're trying at least. We don't need car action all the time, but it does feel a bit unnecessary to have a group of assassins show up at the school. Why? If this is Calypso's car tournament, why is any of this being determined by who can defeat a bunch of assassins? We don't really get much in the way of arenas, just flat spaces, but hey, we've got this late night dark zone with electricity shooting down, that looks pretty cool. We have like a junkyard arena fight, there's some racing, car stuff, great. It's nice to just see a bunch of cars from the game in a garage while the characters talk to each other.
You make a run at me, I will end you.
And the fact that we finally have a large cast of characters all in the same place instead of separated across the country, combined with the upping of each character's bizarre traits and unique personalities, makes the show feel like Twisted Metal even when the cars are off screen for multiple episodes. A high school dance episode in the gymnasium starring topless Axel in just a suit collar hitting on a drunk Raven spiking the punch bowl while Vermin tries to get Mr. Grimm to fuck her behind the bleachers and Sweet Tooth sits there hallucinating his paper bag friend to be Final Destination actor Devon Sawa. It's all just so insane that it actually works. And it helps John and Quiet serve as the audience vehicle better because they have a much wackier world to contrast them against, so we can relate to them more, while also giving their characters freedom to become a bit more fun themselves. Junkyard Dog makes an appearance, but explodes immediately. I really wanted to see his special attack. The Roach Coach uses toxic gas during combat. Of course, we have Sweet Tooth's pink rocket flurry. Raven isn't driving Shadow like she should be, but she does get a cool electricity blast. That's very Twisted Metal. Axel is here, adding great presence to the entire show, and while he does use his Axel power shockwave, it's very brief and underwhelming. Spectre is here, driven by a douchebag character that fits the car's theme, but I don't know why they'd introduced the ghost missiles earlier in the season and not have him use them. Missed opportunity. We see a lot of roadkill, and his special attack gets special attention, with a humorous nod to the fanbase acknowledging the skill required in using the boomerang.
Boomerang blast!
Don't tell me they come back to you.
Oh, that would be so useless.
Fans will remember that it does pitiful damage, but if you can make it hit someone on the way back, it does like triple damage. Hard to use, but rewarding. I got a kick out of this. It doesn't really look the way it does in the game, but it functions the same way, and I'll take it.
Don't be so quick to discount the boomerang blast. It's more difficult to master, yes, but it is one of our more lethal options.
We're definitely missing the monster truck for Mike and Stu. I still think that's a big miss. But the higher amount of series cars and bigger involvement of game-based characters makes for a much more Twisted Metal feeling show. Raven has been fully retconned, and I'm talking fully retconned. She's the first thing we see. We start the series with the surprise backstory of Raven and her high school girlfriend Kelly at a party where they're trying to play a joke on a preppy girl that bullies them. Her girlfriend snuck into the bedroom and put a bunch of scary witchcraft symbols on the wall, but she slipped, hit her head, and fell into a pool, drowning. Now she's in a permanent vegetative state. Raven's wish in the tournament is to fix Kelly. Neve Campbell's Season 1 Raven is revealed to just be one of many fake Ravens that have been stationed as leaders across all the different cities working for the real Raven. Fine, whatever, I don't care, I'll take it. Vermin is here, now not as the pest control van from 2012, but as a character driving the Roach Coach from Twisted Metal 4. So they've given her the Mr. Slam treatment, however far less offensive, given that we do still at least get a pest control van as the car being driven, and I don't imagine anyone is a fan of the original Roach Coach driver anywhere near as much as people are fans for Mr. Slam the vehicle. She has her comedic moments when used in small amounts, but tends to grate on the nerves if she's on screen for too long. But hey, the actress is giving it her all, and I appreciate the increased level of weirdness being introduced into the world. Axel goes on to be one of the show's biggest accomplishments. Yes, his story is changed a bit from being a man whose father turned him into a vehicle, dooming him to live like this, to a man kidnapped and turned into a vehicle, but who can also disconnect himself and walk around freely as long as he's drinking a steady supply of gasoline. Making Axel disconnectable from the wheels was 100% necessary. Axel makes no sense in the games as a guy that can't feed himself or wipe his own ass. Yeah, he still makes no sense in the world because he would get killed immediately, but at least we can have him walking around and interacting with other characters, because he's fantastic. He adds so much charisma to the show, a decent amount of humor from his unique situation, and surprisingly a lot of heart as the later episodes reveal an unexpected deeper connection to another character. Calypso was the big question mark around this season. How do you handle a character like this? He's more of a plot device than a character, so injecting him into more than half the episodes seems like a big risk, and making him kind of funny is also a risk. Hiring Anthony Kerrigan from Barry to essentially play an alternate version of No-No Hank mixed with an evil sadistic demon.
Just know that here, in my city, you're an outsider just like everyone else. Do not fuck with my tournament. Oh, you got a little something there.
I'm sure not everyone loved this performance, but for the most part, I did. I was very skeptical in the first episodes because the characters seemed to be played as a joke. Calypso comes across as some insecure weirdo that's got all these killers together and he's like desperate for their approval or something. But within a few episodes, we see his darker side. Once the reveal of the supernatural occurs, characters begin to regret their wishes and break the rules of the tournament, and the limits to his cruelty are shown to be beyond what we thought. Portraying him as a mix of insane, insecure, ambitious, evil, funny, I think it works really well and makes him more than just a maniacally laughing bad guy like they could have shown him to be. We even get to learn a little bit about what he was doing before the Twisted Metal tournament, which was pretty cool. Over the course of the season, he goes from a silly character you can't really take seriously to someone who is genuinely scary.
There has been much death, and there will be more. But tonight... tonight is for the living.
Sweet Tooth is a much better integrated character this time, finding his place in an ensemble cast instead of being out on his own the whole season. He's a fun, humorous mix in a group of fucked up weirdos, and gets some of the best laughs, like leaving his paper bag friend Harold with a blowtorch to work on the car. And the revelation that Sweet Tooth in fact sees everyone as paper bags all the time is fucking amazing. Sweet Tooth being in charge of the ashes from a cremation and then pouring those ashes onto a covered sewer drain has to be one of the biggest and dumbest laughs I've had in a while. He shines far brighter than he did in the last season. The same can be said for his apprentice Stu, learning the ways of Sweet Tooth but never fully being on board. He reunites with Mike at the tournament, but Mike has a new friend, Dave. Now, none of these guys are the Mike, Stu, and Dave from the games, as far as I know, but the dynamic created between these characters is pretty fun, with Dave being an overly friendly, meditative personality that tries to get everyone to come together. Not the kind of guy to put up against Sweet Tooth or Axel.
Do you think you're some kind of superhero? Not with that greasy hair.
Okay, I think you look great. And that's not objectifying, I'm just supporting.
Stu gets a lot of funny moments, and he's become one of my favorite characters. Preacher, Season 1's most ridiculous and offensive mangling of an awesome character from Twisted Metal Black, turning him into a wild sex cult leader who literally fucks cars and knows martial arts, has been reborn as a magical baby carried around by two perverts that do his will.
Kill them.
God, I hate what they did to Preacher in Season 1, but somehow they were able to take that terrible creative decision and turn it into one of the funniest bits in Season 2.
The child will be safe with me, unless you would prefer to care for him.
No, you have more
not.
square footage.
Krista, Dollface, is definitely not the Dollface from either the 2012 Twisted Metal or Twisted Metal Black. The mask is not attached to her face, and sadly there's not even a reference to the dolls living in honor of the true Dollface, so I was quite skeptical about her character as well. Fortunately, she turns out to not just be a solid addition to the cast, but her role adds some much needed emotional depth to the story of our main character, John Doe. The man who can't remember anything, having to create a new relationship with his sister, helps us grow a lot closer to him, and by extension, Quiet, because of how much they care about each other. Quiet's life as an outsider and the shenanigans with the dolls eventually leads her to wishing for the walls of every city to come down, the only driver with a truly noble wish, and John is there to support her in it. John and Quiet's passions finally reignite in the Diesel City episode, leading to them boning in the weapons safe while the place burns down, and I'm sold on them as a couple at this point. I think I'm one of the few people who was highly critical of Season 1, but actually loved the episode where they were trapped in the restaurant overnight. The plot movement of the season stopped, and we just got to spend time getting to know our characters. Without that episode, there's no way to care about them, and Season 2 builds on what that episode sets up. I'm rooting for both of these guys now. Mayhem, a new character to the show, is someone I took a liking to over time. She just wants to belong, and she's too cocky for her own good. She can be a bit annoying sometimes, but she also gets some of the best jokes, like her inability to read, which is played to great comedic effect, blowing into an AI console like it's an NES game, and thinking that drinking bleach might clean her insides.
I wonder if it'll clean my insides.
Being young, bratty, and having red hair makes me want to see her driving Grasshopper. I think that would make sense, even though she's not Grasshopper's driver. I do think a version of Grasshopper is on the way though, but I won't spoil why I think that. There's another character, one from the games, that shows up late, and it's so badly handled I wish they'd just not included him at all. The moment he showed up, I said, please don't fuck this up, and they did. You'll notice I'm generally staying away from spoilers, and that's for two reasons. One, I simply do not have it in me to do an episode-by-episode review right now. I did that for the Twilight Zone and I need a break. And two, I just don't want to give it away. If you watched Season 1 and you didn't like it, maybe give Season 2 a try. I'm not promising grade A entertainment, but for a Twisted Metal show, it's acceptable, which is far more than I can say for the disaster that was Season 1.
No, you know what? It's more than acceptable. It's pretty fun.
I like where the season goes overall, but I don't like the last sequences of the final episode at all, or what they do with a certain character. I kind of wish they'd let it settle after the tournament was over. But whatever, honestly I'm just happy to be surprised and entertained by a show based on one of my favorite games. Thanks for watching.